Nostradamus was born into a well-to-do family, but that's where his luck ended. Sometimes the setbacks were his own fault, like when he antagonized the Inquisition. More often, though, he was just on the butt end of fortune. Low on the list of known Nostradamus facts is his Jewish heritage. As the Jewish Virtual Library explains, Nostradamus' family was Jewish, his father a notary, and his grandfathers were both doctors. Nostradamus received an excellent education growing up. In addition to learning mathematics, Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, his family planted the seed of his future esoteric studies by passing along their interest in alchemy, Kabbalah, and herbal medicine. The religious practice would change with King Louis XII, who ruled France from 1498 to 1515. Louis XII might have kept taxes down and prevented civil war from cropping up across France, but he wasn't great to Jewish people. Mirroring the actions of King Philip IV and King Charles VI, who expelled Jews from France in 1306 and 1394, Louis XII kicked any remaining Jews out of Provence in 1501, unless of course they converted to Christianity and were baptized.
We are Jews.
But I was baptized.
A baptized Jew is still a Jew.
Even then, they had to pay a special tax to the neophytes to make up for the economic loss of those Jews who left. Nostradamus and his family stayed, paid the tax, and lived Christian lives, at least on the outside. The family continued practicing Judaism in secret.
This influenced Nostradamus the rest of his life because he had an actual hatred of the Catholic Church.
Nostradamus followed in his grandfather's footsteps and studied medicine at the University of Montpellier starting in 1529. Before he started his studies, he worked as an apothecary, a profession similar to a modern pharmacist, dispensing herbal medicine across France, Spain, and what is now modern-day Italy.
He was way ahead of his time, so they began to have spies watching him. How is he doing these things? He must be working with the devil.
While those whom Nostradamus helped were no doubt grateful for the care, the faculty at the University of Montpellier thought otherwise. To university professors and doctors, apothecaries were lowbrow. The university directly banned such manual professions from their grounds. As soon as the university discovered Nostradamus' past history, he got kicked out. Before then, Nostradamus had butted heads with the faculty about the importance of hygiene and the ineffectiveness of bloodletting. At the same time, and a bit more riskily, Nostradamus was vocal in his opposition to Catholicism and talked openly about astrology. His expulsion letter still exists in the university's library. After being ousted from medical school, he made the most of things by doing what he'd done before, journeying through France and Italy as a traveling doctor. The bubonic plague was going strong, and Nostradamus doled out common-sense prescriptions like keeping bedsheets, air, and streets clean. He also collected rose petals and crushed them into a kind of vitamin C drop that apparently worked fairly well for patients. Nostradamus didn't treat the plague the way the doctors at the University of Montpellier taught, prescribing drinking mercury, wearing robes soaked in garlic, and having one's blood drained.
Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!
Nostradamus' work brought him some measure of renown, and he received financial support from people in Provence. He even got a job in 1531 working with a well-known doctor that gave a bit more credibility to his methods. Once there, he settled down, got married, and had 2 children. That's when tragedy struck. 3 years later, in 1534, his wife and his children died from the plague. He was in Italy working as an itinerant doctor. Back in France, the death of his family destroyed public confidence in his methods. After all, how can a plague doctor lose his family to the plague? Responsibility for the next tragic chapter of Nostradamus' life falls squarely at his own feet. Details are sparse, but we know that in 1538, 4 years after the deaths of his wife and children and his perceived plague failures, Nostradamus got on the wrong side of the Catholic Church. All we know is that Nostradamus made an offhand remark about some statue somewhere.
Amongst our weaponry are such diverse elements as fear, surprise, ruthless vigilance, and almost fanatical devotion to the Pope and nice red uniform. Oh.
Apparently, that is all it took for him to be accused of heresy. But rather than stick around France and be arrested and tortured, Nostradamus once again went on the road, this time through Greece, Turkey, and parts of Italy. We don't know exactly what Nostradamus got up to while fleeing from the Inquisition, but we do know that this is when he began shifting away from the medical arts and towards the mystical ones. One tale claims that Nostradamus had a psychic awakening while distressed and on the run, and even accurately predicted the next pope out of a group of random monks he encountered.
It was a very dangerous undertaking to go against the church and actually be called a prophet. The church defined the prophets.
Regardless, Nostradamus lived without a permanent home for 9 years until 1547, when he figured it was safe to head back to France. He resettled in his home of Provence. He got married again, had 6 children this time around, began writing books, and started harnessing the psychic visions that would lead to his 1555 book of prophecy, Les Prophéties.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.
Nostradamus. Quasimodo's the hunchback of Notre Dame.
All right.
Even while Nostradamus grew famous for his supposedly predictive powers, garnered the favor of Catherine de' Medici, wife of Henry II, and got appointed counselor and physician in ordinary to the king's court, his body was failing him. Every moment of the day as he sat, wrote, and spoke, he suffered from a host of debilitating, painful illnesses that grew worse by the year, namely arthritis, gout, and eventually dropsy.
Too bad you didn't see this one coming.
Somehow I never see anything coming that could help me.
Arthritis might have been the most well-known of these conditions. There are various types of arthritis, all with different causes, but centering around inflammation of the joints. Gout, meanwhile, is a specific form of arthritis involving intense and painful flare-ups. Dropsy, the last condition that Nostradamus developed in his final years, more often goes by the name edema nowadays. It's characterized by an accumulation of fluid in and between bodily tissues, particularly the lower legs, ankles, and feet. If left untreated, it can cause heart failure. Nostradamus died in 1566, 11 years after he wrote his Book of Prophecies. He left his final prophecy for himself. Perhaps sensing the end coming, he drafted his will in late June 1566. Come July 1st, he allegedly told his secretary, "You will not find me alive at sunrise." The following morning, Nostradamus was dead.